Hi, welcome to Training For Warriors Sussex. I'm Steve, and I just want to share with you some of the cues that we use with our clients to get their planks working a bit better, their core working harder, and ways with which you can do this at home, because most people are quite familiar with the plank exercises that you can do anywhere, anytime. So, first few things, make sure that the forearms are set up properly underneath you, not too far forwards, and then you're thinking about few things. Number one, the aspect of bracing the midsection, so not sucking in, not pushing out, but just co-contracting so that everything is joining in. So think about creating that tension as if somebody's going to tap you in the stomach muscles and you stay tight. That's the first thing you should be doing as you're in that position, is just creating that little bit of an abdominal brace. Second thing to do would be to engage your glutes, so squeeze the muscles on the back of the hips here, as well as thinking about just the front of the body. Another thing is to think about letting the ribs stay locked down towards the hips, so you kind of squeeze tight around the sides as well. That stops people kind of letting their ribs come forward too much, just maintains that neutral shape that we should be in. And when you go into that initial plank position, you want to check that your hips aren't too high, so some common errors might be that you're up here somewhere, and then the opposite, which we're seeking to avoid as well, is to let the hips drop down too far. So somewhere in between those two is going to be good. Again, glutes tight, brace the middle, think about the ribs to the hips, squeeze tight in that position, and then the other part is to stay strong through the shoulders and actually push into the ground slightly with the forearms. So the other point of collapse that we often see is this here, and you want to push yourself up and away from the ground. That nice tight straight line. So now it's easy to do that. Maybe hold your breath and stay tight for a few seconds, and then you need to breathe, and that changes your position. So instead, you want to train that tension and that position with full breaths, with deep breaths, because if you're playing any kind of sport, if you're needing to stay with a tight core and a safe core throughout anything demanding, then chances are you're going to be breathing hard, your heart rate's going to be up a little bit. So instead of either just staying with a very tight breath or a very shallow breath, try and take it nice and full. So even as you're breathing fully, you still need to be able to maintain that brace that you started with. There's a final cue of tension, which would be to think about driving the elbows towards your toes so that your lats wake up a little bit. You're really trying to just teach your body to be tight. So in that straight line, in that position again, that's the posture, glutes tight, core tight. Now be able to breathe. At the same time as feeling the brace not change, feeling the posture not change. Okay, nice deep breath, locking it down, staying strong. Think about the elbows towards the toes. And when you make it more challenging on purpose, when you add those layers of tension to what you're doing, then you don't need to stay there for minutes and minutes or hours and hours. You can just get a really good strong training effect that transfers over very well to other movements with 10 seconds, with 20 seconds. You don't need to be there forever. Practice the tension, practice the breathing. Use those tips just to make your plank a way, way better exercise than maybe it is right now. Try to check that your posture is good and in line. Also including the head. Obviously we have the easy immersions from the knees, and the same exact principles apply from the knees. Hope you enjoyed that tip.